Hey guys, AJ here, back another one. So it's a nice sunny winter day where I am, and I woke up this morning and I saw that I actually hit 1,000 subs. So I can't believe it. I mean, you guys are really, really great. I mean, this channel started out as just a way for me to to kind of vent my frustration at this misandrist media and cult culture that I live in and that we all deal with every day. I appreciate all the likes and all the comments and all the subs, and just you guys are really, really, really been amazing. Um, I put out the podcast the other day, and that's getting views. So I just really want to say thanks to all you guys who like and comment and just watch and just listen to me rant and rave about all this foolishness. So I'm gonna keep putting out content for you guys. I want to try and bring some of you guys on the podcast. And then really just kind of have our own little space so we can just talk about like just kind of be the antithesis to all this misandry that's going on, and just have our own space to just talk about issues and point out just this the hypocrisy of all this modern pro woman garbage. So, but I decided for my 1,000 sub special to kind of go back through my most popular video, and that's the women being ignored in the workplace. And let's look at some of the comments, because I have like the greatest comment section on YouTube, and I'm not even lying. Well, I am biased because it's my own, but a lot of you guys really have some really good stories. So let's just go over a couple of comments here, and then we'll be done. So the first one is Adam Schaefer. He said, if men were doing the right thing, and this is for the women are being ignored. He said, if men were doing the right thing and behaving, they have nothing to fear. That's what the lady on the right said. He said, tell that to JD. And then Fantoche Doll Maker said that the men and women separate. This is rigidly enforced at my workplace to the point to where it makes women nervous. No one-on-one with the man with the door closed. The conference room is an exception, but the VP or CEO is called via Teams. If you have to take the elevator alone with one or more women, the actual guideline we got was take your phone and record audio. Man, that's crazy. My boss took the M2 very seriously when he saw how little that it takes to destroy a man. Now, woman is B word and pouty when she finishes a meeting under surveillance because she's reminded that there are actual liabilities in the workplace. Exactly. Great story. It shows that men, there's just too much to risk, and these workplaces are just not having it. Devin DeMuth says, I've complimented my male worker styles and suits in front of female coworkers, but I've never dared compliment the women because I knew it was just a perspective away from from harassment. Highwayland said, I was accused of touching a female coworker inappropriately and I was fired. This was a job that involved unloading items and stacking items, and sometimes you just accidentally bump into each other. It was only her third day on the job, whereas I'd been there for roughly 28 months. That was something that happened to me back in 1998. So this happened all those years ago, so you can imagine how bad it is now. He says, and it affected me so much that I barely even talk to women in the workplace anymore. They got a ton of power and they can destroy your life pretty darn fast. Pat G says, my office went from brotherly love, having fun, working and joking with everyone, to being on eggshells and avoiding the women now. The women have already gotten 3 guys fired for BS, and now men walk and take breaks in pairs, so we have a witness in case of false accusations. Wow, that's crazy. He says, and then Enzo the Baker says, I posted this earlier, had a senior engineer turn down a promotion recently. He told me off the record, you couldn't pay me enough to manage a team of 4 women. I need my pension. If it ever comes down to he said, she said, men always lose everything and always lose, and everything is offensive. And that's absolute facts. Absolute facts. Edward Gold said, and this is a good one. He said, I've told this elsewhere before. When I was in the corporate workforce, I was in middle management. My office didn't have a door, and I had a video recorder running at all times for a reason. From my desk, I had a clear view of the main office and several desks. An extremely good-looking young man had been hired. His desk was 15 feet from my door, and within a week of being hired, several female co-workers kept wandering over to flirt and engage him in conversation. They would casually run their hands down his arms, back, and chest while basically interrogating him about his personal life. Now, that's happened to me before, guys. I actually had to do a harassment suit for a girl that I used to work with back in the day, and I'll actually make a video about that story. But I had to go to my boss's boss and file a complaint, and they thought that I was joking, but this woman wouldn't leave me alone. So that's a story for another day. So he continues. He kept asking them to stop, and they just kept up. He kept asking them to stop, and it just kept up. If this was done to a woman, that would result in lawsuits. After a few weeks, he went to HR and made a complaint about the activity. Then one of the women who had previously heard many times brag about how many of her coworkers she had the sex with made a counter complaint that he had been harassing her and others. The young man put in his resignation rather than deal with the coming SHIT storm. He was afraid that any investigation would make it public knowledge that he was gay. I knew why. He was one of my younger cousins and had not come out to our family. I'd accidentally walked in on him and his longtime partner at a family-owned summer cottage once. As the only family member that knew this, he asked me to keep quiet, and I did. Because he had no interest in the women at work and complained when they wouldn't leave him alone. They lied and said he was doing what they were doing to him. I've seen this thing happen over and over for years. These people on that TV show are either very naive about working women's behavior, or they're lying to promote their agenda. Either way, the comment that women don't lie about harassment and men don't need to worry about false claims is the real lie here. And that's absolute facts. And Edward Gold, thanks for your comment. I also want to say that people think that women just aren't savages. And Doug MPA, who was on the podcast, I've known him for a little while, and he actually told me a story about a friend of his that was a male, exotic dancer in Las Vegas, and the stories that this guy he would tell about how these girls they would get all liquored up, and they would be more inappropriate with the male dancers than the men would be with the female ones. But that's a story for another day. Maybe I'll have a video on that. Southern Alaskan says all men need to ignore women completely. Only respond if absolutely necessary in a work environment. Always record when a woman tries to approach you as well. They will lie and say anything to get a man in trouble or fired nowadays. Absolute facts. Mike G says, not going to name them, but I know personally the owner of a company that in 1995 had 50% women and today has 0 despite expanding to 3 times its size compared to back then. This guy is really progressive, and it's in LA. He told me why. Any female equals 20 times more likely to become an HR nightmare and even possibly sue. He gradually shifted to all men, and he eventually was able to not have to even have a full-time HR person. Today, he said HR is done by the CFO, and the CFO basically ends up spending 10 minutes a month on it. It's always just routine coordination, including payroll, nothing else. And that is crazy, because all the places that I've worked, have had nothing but, or they've had whole departments of HR. And it's always a bunch of loud, rude, overweight, crass, mean women that are just talking mess and starting trouble and just taking forever on it, everything. Let me see. Chandy 2000 says, gents, this is my advice. Take it or leave it as you see fit. My advice. Never select female coworkers for your projects. Facts. Never mentor female coworkers or you might mentor males. Facts. Never find yourself in an office or even conference room alone with a female coworker. Facts. Never engage in any conversation that is not directly associated with your work and the only reason you have for interacting with them at all is because you must work on a project. Yes. He says, limit your interaction in any way possible at work and never, ever hang out with peers after work. For after work dinner or drinks if a female coworker will be among the people attending. And that is true because we've all had that one person that doesn't know the happy hour rules, that you don't get too trash and you don't talk about what happens at happy hour. And back in the day, I used to go to happy hours, and every person that's ever snitched or told the wrong person this or has always been, of that gender. So he continues, if you are the business owner and you have fewer than 100 employees, then you can never ever hire a female employee. Failure to do the above is simply putting yourself at undue risk. Your entire career can be ended on nothing more than a single unfounded accusation. That's all it takes. That is true. Work is for work, and the situation now is that females have become a complete liability and danger in the workplace. Enjoy interacting with women who have no connection with your business, but in the workplace, you should imagine that females have full-blown Ebola and avoid them at all costs. Great comment, my friend. Great comment. And guys, that is some of the best advice that I've ever heard. I mean, every single point that Chandy 2000 made is absolutely spot on. Jerome Barry says, at my workplace, I'm among an engineering group which is always majority male with few females, always in junior positions. This is my 39th year in the industry. Here's what I see. There is no unnecessary chatter and small talk with the women. In previous decades, it was obvious that not work was going on in all directions. The men are informed and intelligent. And we'll just do a couple more so I can keep it short. Jeffrey Weidekind, if I mispronounced your last name, I'm sorry. This is a good one, guys. When I first started my career, it was for a DOD, which is the Department of Defense. For those who don't know, the secretary, she was really hands-on, and she would pull my shirt and look down, feel me up, and say things. I've been here, Jeffrey. I've been here too. Sometimes she would dress in short skirts and was seductive, but for some reason, I never did get the signals. I was clueless. No, you were there to work. You were there to work. You weren't supposed to be trying to pick up on signals for some chick at your job, especially for DOD. You got to get security clearance. You got to get all types of stuff there. So he continues. We talked at parties and I thought that we were good friends. Well, there's your mistake. Well, one day she had a sweater with a pair of hands on it, and I said, so this means we can't. I just squeezed my hands. I never touched her. So he did the honk honk type thing. I then went on several weeks of travel, and when I came back, I went partying and showed up to work really hungover. The colonel asked me to come to his office, and I thought he was going to scold me for coming to work hungover. But he looks me in the eyes and says, do you know what harassment is? Oh, no. And I said yes, but I didn't understand why he was saying it. Well, he tells me that she complained to him, and long story short, I had to admit I made a mistake and apologize to her. After that, I never said jokes, and when around women, I never got personal with one of them again. See, and this is the good thing about men. Even when we do screw up, when we touch the stove once, that's it. You know what I'm saying? He continues. The colonel said that when he was at the Pentagon, a colonel that he knew he was fired for just saying, "You look good in that dress." One guy tied $1 to his zipper and told a woman, "All you can eat for $1," and he was fired. Well, he's an idiot. I mean, that's so dumb. But I can understand that one. I was scared since she almost cost me my job. Now, I want to get back to this, guys. Getting a job at the Pentagon or the DoD is not easy. You know, I mean, the federal process is hard enough, but DoD, you got to go through a very extensive background check, and you got to get security clearance. So if you have, and there's different levels too, where you might need to do a polygraph, or they look at your record and all types of stuff. So this is not a job that you want to have. You know, you want to get fired from for some chick. I mean, for a woman. You know. So, he says, "I was scared since she almost cost me my job. And how do you find another one when they ask you why you were fired from a government job?" That's true. I mean, it's impossible to get fired. Believe me, except for these types of things. And he is right there. There are some real knuckleheads who work for the government, and it's so much paperwork to fire them that oftentimes they just don't get fired. She later told me that she was mistreated by her father and other things, but while we worked together, I was always polite. Here we go. Several years later, she left her organization. She walked up to me. I turned my back, and she got the message. Never trust women in the workplace. They can flame on over the smallest thing. It will hold a grudge like an elephant. Never talk to women except for work issues ever. Man, that's a story. And it's true. You could lose everything that you worked for in just a split second. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, you know? So I think there was one more. Here we go. M. Robertson. I was a supervisor in the California state government. I got accused of harassment for disagreeing with a female co-worker in a meeting. Fortunately, our boss, a woman, was in the meeting and defended me to management. Now that's rare. This woman turned against the sisterhood, because usually they all band together and then take you out, you know? So his boss, who was a woman, defended him to management. He said, "After that, I never met with a female or minority staff alone. Even my boss, when I could avoid it. And then I insisted on the door being open. Best to just avoid headaches. This policy has wonderfully saved me from having to listen to petty personality complaints between staff." So he's actually saying not just women, but other minorities as well. Now, guys, I am black, so there is a little bit of truth there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we can get into that on an episode of the podcast. But you know, that's a good point, and I really really like how you brought that up. So thanks, M. Robertson. And last one, I know that I said the last one, but this is the last one. Okay, he said, Joshua Mason, thank you for the comment. He said, "We do construction, concrete to be precise. Our company hired 2 women since I have been there." Now, what do you need women at a concrete company for? Anyways, our company hired 2 women since I've been there. One of them lasted 1 or 2 days, and the other one was let go because of certain things. She would often start talking and stop working to have a chat, not just sometimes, but multiple times per shift. She would literally put her tools down to the side and have a conversation while in the middle of drilling boards. One time she said she would have cried if the boss would have talked to her in the same way that she talked to me. Like, really? Well, guys, sidebar here. If a woman's that familiar with you to tell you, "Oh, I would cry if I..." No. You're already too close. Just say, "Hey, you know what? That's you," and just be done with it, you know? She was a cool person and very nice, but not cut out for our kind of work. She was often late or not showing up for random reasons, usually because of her kids. Okay, fine. No, not okay, fine. Because that means if she didn't show up, all the rest of the guys were picking up her slack. Um, she said she'd come in for Halloween, but last minute said couldn't make it. My last point, though, women shouldn't try and push for quality of outcome when they don't want to do the same things men do to achieve that outcome, period. Man, thank you, sir, for that. And that's absolutely true. There seems to be this like conspiracy theory that women think that they're the reason why women aren't in STEM or aren't in construction or all this other stuff is because they're being kept out. And then you say they have the choice, and then they go, and then you go, well, you have the choice. Who are the women that you know that want to get into construction and stuff? And they go, well, I don't know any personally. If you ask, if they were to sit there and ask all the women that they know, do you want to get into this? They would all say no, but there's still this narrative that there's a whole huge population of women that want to work on oil rigs and, do ice road truckers and possibly die in a crash or die on a crab ship or all this other stuff. So it's all just BS. But you guys, I just wanted to read some comments to say thanks. Excuse my voice. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I just wanted to make this really to just say thanks, you guys. I never thought that I would get to this point, but you guys really, really are like the absolute best, and I'm gonna keep dropping videos for you guys. And yeah, like, subscribe. This is AJ, and I'm out of here. Stay safe, guys.